Hi all, welcome to my new little episode of me finishing off one of my couture dresses. Right, okay. So this is the fabric I got from, just show you, see I've got my new chest mount on me. Just as you can see what I actually do as I go along, sewing or cutting out patterns. So basically, this is that I got from Benin. This fabric, a friend of mine sent me over the fabric from Benin. So it's one of my couture dresses for my new boutique. So I'm just finishing it off now. You can see, so I've lined it, I've actually lined inside. But I decided to put some binding on as well. So I could have stitched the lining and just turned it through, but I decided to put some binding inside to just give it a little additional designer touch in there. You can do many things, you can finish off in many ways. So I've opted to do this for this dress. And it echoes the fabric as well. You can see the green, so I've virtually matched it, you can see fabric. So it just gives it a little designer touch. So I've got my green thread here to stitch on the binding, and then I've got a purple thread there to stitch actually on the actual fabric on the right side. Now, because I've done a new line, a collection of dresses for my boutique. This is a lot cheaper than my pure couture dresses, which is a few £1,000s upwards. This is just, I think this is about £300–400, so it's more affordable. Even though they're all unique dresses, no one's got them. I only make one of each design, really. So it's more affordable to people to come into my boutique and just take it off the peg, take it off the hanger, put it on, and off they go. With the couture dresses, it takes me many weeks pattern cutting, fitting their body with a mock-up, then make it in real fabric. So it's a long process, but this, I've done a new line which is more affordable. So basically, what I'm actually going to stitch the binding in place now. Just bringing my little chest piece up there. And usually, if this was a pure dress that I would be charging a few £1,000s, I wouldn't machine it. I don't like really machining real couture dresses that I'm doing. But this is the more affordable range, so I'm just going to machine stitch this. I would have actually hand stitched this in place. What we call hand felling, that would have all been hand felled in place. But that's for my few £1,000 dresses. This is my cheaper line, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to machine it. So I'm going to stitch around the binding now, and I've basted it in. It controls it more. It's more efficient. You can get faster actually. I don't need to worry with it actually. Just bring my camera up a little bit on my chest, my new chest mount. You can see what I do. So I can actually, it's more efficient because if I don't baste it, it could move the binding as I go around. So, but this is an easy way. I just baste it in. I think the home sewers call it tacking, same thing. See what I'm doing? You can see what I'm doing. I'll just bring this up a bit so you can see. There we go. So I bought this new chest mount so you can actually see me actually working. So you'll see me cutting patterns, stitching on a machine. It's just easier. So I'm just going to bring this back in there. I never backstitch. I just carry on the stitches for about a quarter of an inch, half an inch, and that's it. Just easier. Just undo this now. And there's my stitching now on the inside. You can see the green stitching. The camera's picking this up. And then there's my stitching on the right side. A purple thread I've used. So as I said before, I don't really like machine stitching because it kind of echoes, shouts out it's a factory made, but of course I do couture. Now, as I said before, if this was a pure couture dress I'm making, this would all be hand stitched. I would never machine stitch. This will be what we call hand felled. And you can see on the neckline, I've opted to actually hand stitch around the neckline. So I've done little back stitches around here. I don't think the camera can pick it up. I'm not sure if the camera can pick up these little tiny stitches. If I just switch it over to the wrong side, you can actually see the stitches I've actually done by hand. They've gone to the wrong side, you can see that. So, but I've actually stitched it from the right side, so it's back stitch, so it's created those stitches on that side. So I like to see on the neck, if that was machine stitched, it just looks like a factory kind of way. And because I'm doing a lesser line, a more affordable range, collection of unique dresses for my boutique, You know, I'm still doing quite a lot of machine, but I still will opt to do some hand stitched work as well. So now the sleeves are done now. So the last thing to do is, if I just move this, let me just bear with me for 1 second. Okay, this is the hem of the dress. So I've opted to put binding on it as well, just to give it a nice, I don't like overlocking, just gives it a cheap look. So when I can not do overlocking, I'll actually just will bind it or line it totally. So you can see this is the actual hem of the dress. The whole dress now has been bound with bias binding. Now usually with raw high-end couture, I will actually make my own bias binding, just give it a raw designer touch, but I've opted just to buy some, and it's just easier for me. And I'm just going to stitch this in now, what I've done with the sleeve, and I'll get back to you as I finish this off. It should be finished in a few minutes.